Throughout modern history, warfare operated strictly within physical boundaries. Nations fought using geography, ground armies, and physical espionage. But the human mind was assumed to be an isolated sanctuary, completely beyond the reach of external commands. In the summer of 1975, a highly confidential committee inside the United States Senate broke the seal on hidden files, exposing a completely different reality. The resulting paper trail documented over 2 decades of covert activity. The Central Intelligence Agency had subjected its own non-consenting citizens to intense chemical and behavioral manipulation. The operational intent went deeper than chemical testing. Investigators found evidence of a search for a systemic loophole within human consciousness, specifically intended to bypass individual free will. This shifted the theater of the Cold War from physical territory to internal states. The agency began viewing the human mind as a complex architecture that could be rebuilt for global espionage. The logistics required to test this hypothesis were massive. Under the direction of a chemist named Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, Project MKUltra operated across 86 elite institutions, utilizing major universities, pharmaceutical laboratories, and federal prisons. The most aggressive phase of this testing took place in a secure, isolated psychiatric ward in Montreal, Canada, specifically inside room 404. Patients who checked into the facility for minor anxiety were chemically paralyzed and placed into continuous drug-induced comas. The staff administered extreme, unending doses of LSD-25 to keep the subjects entirely incapacitated for up to 86 days straight. This diagram demonstrates the auditory assault used during paralysis. High-output speakers strapped to subjects' heads transmitted a looped audio command, repeating over 500,000 times. This constant barrage overwhelmed and overwrote existing neural pathways, forcing total erasure of the original personality. The clinical setting provided a cover for the project's actual outcome. These procedures broke the mind's existing structures to install a new programmable behavioral matrix for Cold War operations. By the early 1970s, intelligence briefs indicated a new vector of conflict. The Pentagon received confirmation that the Soviet Union was pouring massive financial resources into psychotronics and telekinesis research. Terrified of falling behind strategically, the United States launched its own counterintelligence initiative called Project Stargate, headquartered inside a secure, windowless facility at Fort Meade in Maryland. The agency recruited individuals who claimed to possess an advanced sensory ability known as remote viewing, intending to shift these subjects from being wiped hardware to active, deployable psychic spies. The subjects were sealed inside deep sensory deprivation chambers to isolate their focus. They were given absolutely no context about their targets, only a specific set of geographical latitude and longitude coordinates. From complete darkness, these subjects were instructed to mentally separate from their physical location. Declassified logs confirmed they accurately visualized the highly complex interior layouts of classified Soviet nuclear facilities. The operational data verified that the remote viewers successfully pinpointed the exact location of a hidden Soviet submarine factory, accurately describing heavy military structures thousands of miles away from their deprivation tanks. By successfully mapping classified targets across the globe using only human concentration, the agency proved that geographic borders could be bypassed entirely by the mind. In 1973, rumors of these systemic violations began to leak into federal justice networks. Recognizing the immediate legal threat, CIA Director Richard Helms executed a total system override. He ordered the immediate destruction of all MKUltra and Stargate documentation. The agency rushed to burn every laboratory log and operational file to permanently erase the chemical and psychic violations from the historical record. This chart illustrates the fatal flaw in their cover-up. While operational files were destroyed, an accounting loophole allowed a glowing red stream of financial receipts and black budget allocations to bypass the incinerators. Investigators used surviving tax records to map millions in expenditures on behavioral manipulation. The Senate eventually forced the official disbandment of both programs. However, the physical data confirms that the severe psychological damage inflicted on these non-consenting subjects can never be fully reversed. The files reveal an attempt to treat the human soul as a collection of mechanical variables. The Cold War ended up penetrating the deepest levels of individual consciousness, turning the mind itself into a theater of conflict.